Hi, today I'm here with Joanna McCormick, who's an artist in South East London. So hello Joanna, welcome to my show.
Hello, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Would you like to tell me a little bit about your different art?
I started oil painting when I was about 12. My mum's best friend at the time gave me a set of oil paints for my birthday, and I just started experimenting with them and taught myself how to use them. And I've always been making art, since I was even younger than that. So I guess I'd say I'm predominantly a painter, but I work in lots of other ways too. I do live art and performance pieces, and I do sculptural pieces, and quite often those are linked together as well. And in the reminiscence work I do, I work with lots of different people with dementia and people with other health impacts. And I also teach. So
And you teach art classes, don't you?
Yeah, so I teach in adult education in South East London at a place called Thomas Calton Centre. It's actually in Peckham, off Peckham Rye, and there's loads of great courses that happen there. And I'm part of the arts team. We teach life drawing and painting, and I teach still life art practical and exploring creativity, which is an open course. We do lots and lots of different things. So printmaking, working from your imagination, watercolour, egg tempera, all sorts of exciting things.
And from your imagination, I'm going to jump into that one. Do you work yourself from your imagination?
Yeah, absolutely. So I work in all the aspects, I guess, of my practice. Imagination is like the key element, I suppose, to what I do. So that coupled with sort of playfulness and tapping into the unconscious. So I guess, yes, surrealism is part of it as well. But when I'm painting, more than anything, it's really from my imagination. But also, I'll look at retro imagery. I'm kind of like a bit of a magpie, so I'll take images from all over the place. So I might just find a postcard in a junk shop, or be flicking through an art book and really something will jump out at me, or things from magazines. I'm really interested in Victorian scrapbook imagery and wildlife imagery and botanical work and pattern and design. So I put all those things together and create like a kind of an open narrative that the people looking at the work can kind of interpret in their own way. But very, freedom of expression and also use of paint.
And we will have a bit of paint everywhere.
And colour.
Colours. Because your artwork is very colourful. It's one of the things I like about it. Very bright, very bold.
Yeah, so I use a system with the colour in my paintings where I'll use complementary colours. So I'll put the ground colour in the complementary colour to the colours that are going to go on top of it, and I'll always leave a little gap, so you can see in my artwork of the crocodile where there is the sea. If you look closely, you can see that there are little specks of red behind, and it's an orangey red because there's bluish green as well as green, and those of you who know about art will know that complementary colours are green. Well, one of them are green, two of them are green and red, and when they're next to each other, they react together to make each other look brighter. When you mix them together, it creates like a neutral, like a brownish grey, but when they're next to each other on the page, they make each other look brighter. And that was discovered by someone whose name I've forgotten, who was way back in when they were doing medieval tapestries, and they used to use it in the tapestries. So they'd be sewing areas that were grass, and then they put a little red thread in there just to brighten things up.
Yeah, they do, because I like medieval tapestries. I'm a big fan of them. I studied the unicorn ones, and I must admit, I buy the copies and make my own tapestries of them, but I couldn't do it myself from the start. I do need the print on there already, and then just put colours in.
Yeah. Have you ever designed your own?
I have designed my own tapestries.
Wow.
Funny enough, of magpies. I think she mentioned magpies earlier. Yeah, I love magpies.
Beautiful,
My tapestries are normally of magpie sky scenes.
Oh wow! Oh, they sound amazing.
Yeah, they're okay. They're not perfect, but
no, they sound good. I'd love to see some.
I shall send you some.
Yeah.
I'll make you one.
Oh, thank you. Oh.
And on your one next to your crocodile, you've got some little sailors.
Yeah, so that one, this crocodile one, so it was originally a triptych, and it's called Croque Madame and Croque Monsieur. And so the one that I've got left here is the blue crocodile, so that's the Croque Monsieur. In the middle there was a long thin panel which had the sea as well, and had yellow roses and a couple of fierce fish chasing all the little fish and chomping on them, so it was quite dramatic. And the roses were from a Sanderson design called Chelsea, which is a retro textile fabric pattern that I found on a hospital screen when in the 80s they closed a lot of the mental hospitals, and they had sales selling off the equipment. And I went to one of those and I found this hospital screen that was covered in this beautiful chintz pattern of roses, and it just, to me, was really poignant, just the idea of something so domestic being in a institutional setting, and how that must have felt to people who were there, and that whole sense of loss as well, of that those places were actually people's homes, but the transition, how things were changing, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. So all those kind of ideas are put into the painting through kind of being inspired by this pattern, Chelsea design. And then, so the Croque Madame was on the other side, so it was an exact replica in mirror image of the Croque Monsieur, but the crocodile was painted pink with blue lines, so it was exactly the same. And then the sailors, it was around the time of the war in Iraq, and so the crocodile has this flag coming out of its mouth that says Pax, which is peace in Latin, and so it's basically a declaration of peace as opposed to declaration of war. But the sailors represent the British involvement in that war, and the banks of the river, or the sand is all awash with blood. So
it's a very powerful
piece is about.
Yeah, very powerful. And peace is very important. I'm kind of coming with that view. I like that idea. And it's quite strange having a crocodile saying peace when sometimes they're seen as quite ferocious creatures.
Yeah, that was the whole point, was this kind of he's kind of, well, he's either saying it or he's eating it. It's kind of like eating the notion of peace, or is he trying to come to terms with the idea. So just that was that. And the sailors are from Victorian scraps, so they're actually done. I make my own stencils, so I take the pictures. I'll either draw or trace them, and then use tracing paper to repeat the patterns. That's why quite a lot of my work is kind of mirror images of things, because of the process that I use to create the work. And so these soldiers are then directly transferred onto card, and then I'll cut out the stencil, and then put the stencil, use the stencil to paint the oil flat through onto the canvas. Mm-hmm. So you get this kind of really nice, interesting effect where it's almost like a print. And then I'll let that dry and paint on top of it, paint the details in on top with oil paint. well. So it's one of my methods. So the letters for peace, P-A-I-X, they're also done in that way. And the little white fish in the sea are also done in that way. That's
I love it that they're jumping about in the sea.
Yeah. Kind of looking at the sailors as well. And I guess there's some kind of idea of the concept of thinking about them. What's going on, Where are they running into the sea? Are they running away? Well, some of them are running away, some of them are running in. Are they attacking or are they retreating? I love kind of creating this dialogue of questions.
Yeah, brilliant. Because you don't just work alone, you work with a lot of other groups, or you've been collaborating with people.
Yeah, so in my live art especially, I've done a lot of work with an artist called Sarah Sparks. She's an amazing artist. She does loads of different projects and work. And one of her projects is called the Chutney Preserves. And it's called chutney because the idea of a big jar of chutney, lots of different elements, and there's a wide group of us, a big smorgasbord of artists, and we all come together on specific projects and creating these live art interactive moments. And so one of them was at a festival called Supernormal a couple of years ago, and we did a project based on numbers, and my number was number 6, and so I decided at the time, it was at the time of the coalition. Actually, I'm just realising how political my work is. I hadn't realised.
The underlying message.
Yeah, it was at the time of the coalition, so I decided to be a tiger, and I was 666, the Tory beast, and I had a little puppet that was the Lib Dem tiger cub that was being controlled by the Tory beast, and so each artist had a different number and had a different interpretation of representing that number. And we all paraded around at the festival and interacted with members of the public and created mayhem. There's some little films. There's films on Facebook. There's a Facebook page for the Chutney Preserves, which has lots of information about all the different projects.
And is that what the page is called, the Chutney Preserves?
Yeah, if
Right,
you
so
search it on
up.
Facebook, search Chutney Preserves, and the page will come up.
Yeah. And I wondered if you could tell me a bit about your mushroom, because I do like that mushroom.
So I was trained by Westminster Arts. Oh no, I did the mushroom before that, but anyway, I was trained by Westminster Arts for working with people with dementia, and that was because I was doing a lot of reminiscence work, and so years ago when I used to live in Surrey, I did project with Mole Valley District Council where I did work with a storytelling group locally and collected stories of wildlife and memories of wildlife because, again, I guess it's political. I'm quite a keen environmentalist and really interested in green issues. And so as part of that, I was trying to collect ideas about how the landscape has changed over the years and loss of species. And I thought a really good way of doing that would be to talk to elderly people about what they remembered about the countryside and how it used to be. And I collected some really interesting stories. So there was one lady who was talking about when she was young, there was an area called Lark Lane, that all the kids used to call it Lark Lane because when they walked down the lane, all the larks used to rise up out of the fields around because there were so many of them and they nest in grass and how rare they are now. But as part of that, I collected all these stories and I made some giant sculptures of mushrooms was working with a lady called Ray Tantrum, who was a mushroom enthusiast and forager, and gave me lots of interesting facts about wild mushrooms. And so I built these sculptures and then rigged them up for sound, and collected the stories audially, so that in the exhibition you could go up and listen to the different mushrooms would tell you different stories.
Because there's a speaker inside each mushroom, isn't
yes,
there?
yeah, it's a little speaker and you can put your ear to it. And that was quite nice because it was very personal for the audience to go up and individually kind of commune with these crazy mushroom sculptures and take a moment to listen in on the stories that I'd collected.
And were they stories told by the people, or were they stories that you then retold?
No, they were the real voices of the people that I'd spoken to. It was part of an exhibition called Wildlife Document, and there were drawings as well, and I made art with the participants too. So we had their art was on the walls as well. It was at the National Trust at Polesden Lacey in Surrey. It's a beautiful house out there in the countryside, so that was good.
It's always nice to be out in the countryside, especially us artists, so that we can be more inspired.
Absolutely, yeah. London. I love London, but it can get too much sometimes.
Yeah. Because you're currently making a costume. What's this about?
I'm sewing. Again, it comes back to the wildlife thing. So this is I've been commissioned to do a live art piece, and tonight is the AGM of the Camberwell Society, and so I'm going to manifest as a butterfly, and there's a butterfly called the Camberwell Beauty, which is discovered in Camberwell, and so I'm making a costume that's based on my interpretation of the Camberwell Beauty. And I'm going to be present at the AGM, and I'm going to be again collecting wildlife stories, which it's interesting because the exhibition was in 2002, so this is all these years later. How my themes are still similar, and so yeah, I'm going to be manifesting as a butterfly. I'm not collecting butterflies, but collecting stories. And I have some actual butterflies that I've made on sticks. And I'm going to be handing them out. So I'm going to be like swapping a butterfly for a wildlife story, and then at the end of the night I'll be reading out some of the most interesting ones. That's also going to be done. I'm going to be doing a similar interpretation of that for Camberwell Arts Week. So on the 11th of June at the opening for Camberwell Arts Week, during the day I'll be around collecting your wildlife stories, manifesting as a butterfly, and I might be singing and dancing as well.
That's always good to sing and dance.
Yeah, working with a friend of mine who's a dancer, Alice Labant, and we're going to create a choreographed interpretation of a Camberwell butterfly for that event. The 11th of June and the 18th of June, so that's like the opening and the closing of Camberwell Arts Week. I'll be around and about in Camberwell between 10 and 2.
So you'll be dressed up?
I'll be manifesting as a butterfly.
That's right, super.
And handing out butterflies and singing and dancing and giving you interesting facts about butterflies too.
Oh, butterflies are beautiful, going from caterpillar to butterfly, what a way of life.
There's a really good exhibition at the moment at the Queen's Gallery, which is actually at Buckingham Palace, by the artist Maria Sibylla Merian, who was actually the artist who discovered the life cycle of the butterfly back in the whenever it was, and she was an amazing woman, absolutely astonishing for her time. She went out to Suriname and documented all the butterflies and wildlife and flowers and everything. And through the botanical illustrations that she did, she actually discovered the life cycle of the butterfly and other creatures too.
Oh, what a great
So that's
woman.
worth going to look at. It's in watercolours, and they're absolutely beautiful.
And what was her name again?
It's Maria Sibylla Merian.
I should go and look at that myself as
Yeah,
well.
it's worth a look.
And I'm putting on a little exhibition soon, which you're taking part in,
Yes,
which is
thank
wonderful.
you.
You're going to put your moon people in, your moon
Thank you very
ladies.
much,
Do you want to
yes.
quickly tell us about them?
Okay, so they were pieces of work that I did for the Venice Biennale last year. That was an exhibition curated by an artist called Vanya Balog, who's an amazing artist and curator. And the exhibition was called Fall of the Rebel Angels. And there were 140 of us, and we all made pieces of work based around the Fall of the Rebel Angels, which is it's a thing in the Bible that's actually edited out of the Bible, which is about
It's in the Book of Enoch, isn't it?
yeah, that's right, yeah, and it's about Lucifer.
Lucifer rose up against the heavens. Didn't want to bow. Well, some people say he didn't want to bow down to the humans. That was one argument, and the other one was that other argument is that he wanted just power, and so he fought against God and got thrown out.
Yeah, he got
and
kicked
took his,
out.
with his army,
Yeah.
sent down to Earth for his
basically,
punishment.
and then so him and his rebel angels came down to Earth. I think, what was it? They got banished because they had sex with mortal women, and the women gave birth to monsters.
The Nephilim.
That's part of it.
Yeah.
Part of the story. And so we all interpreted that theme. So I did a live art performance with Sarah Sparks on that theme, where I manifested as a moon goddess, and I gave birth to a wolf's head while I was singing, and Sarah was in attendance, kind of not a midwife, but a kind of attendant to my birth process. Anyway, so that was, but also as part of that, I made these paintings which are based on the voodoo spirits of love, and they're depicted by me. They've got the symbols there of the different manifestations of love. So one of them is Zuli Balian. I've forgotten the names of them. So one of them is the flirtatious, kind of frivolous aspect of love. So
You've got a lovely dress on.
Yeah, and nail varnish and makeup and all about flirtatiousness and kind of frivolity. And then another one is about
Revenge love, wasn't there?
yeah, so there's one Yer Rouge, who's all about taking revenge on past lovers who treated you badly. And then Azuli Balian, who is about healing past loves, healing your heart. So she's the one you pray to if you need more healing before you can love again.
Need your heart mended.
Yeah. And then Mami Wata, who's married to the god of the sea, and is the all round. She manifests love in all its different dimensions. So she's the manifestation of female love in all its different forms. So the work is it's on a watercolor background, but it's cardboard sections on top, and each one painted in oils, because I really like the juxtaposition of using what's considered to be a disposable material of cardboard, and then using oil paint, which is kind of like the opposite, because it's kind of very expensive and very lush and considered to be, in a different league or whatever to
what the masters
modest,
use, or
we're
the
so
masters of art.
get a really nice juxtaposition with the cardboard, kind of interested in sort of changing people's ideas about what's beautiful and what's not, what's valuable and what's not. So, or questioning those ideas anyway.
Mm.
Yeah. So, and that will be at Eltham Library.
Eltham Library, yeah. We're going to be in there for the month of June 2016. So if anyone's in that area, do pop in and see all our different, there's quite a few artists putting little bits in. Me, Joanna, Jude Cowan Montague, and others. But if anyone was interested in your art, where would they contact you? Is there a website?
Oh yeah, so I have a website. It's www.joart.info. So it's very, very easy to remember.
And they'll be able to look more of your work up there and then contact you through that.
Yeah, or if you want to email me, it's V for Victor OX at joart.info. So that's books at joart.info. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you ever so much. And I love all your art and
Thank you.
wishing you all the best for the future and tonight in your lovely butterfly costume.
Thank you, and thanks for the opportunity of the exhibition. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks, Joanna.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for listening.